Hello crafters, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Deepa from DeeZinesByD, and today I have another post for the October Club Kits by Spellbinders. Now this one is for the Glimmer Kit of the month, and this one is a really nice one. And I love the fact that it's really one big poinsettia spray glimmer plate along with a die that cuts the whole thing out. Now, if you look at the size, it's about just over 6 inches long, and what is it? It's about maybe 4 inches in width. So you could use this as a focal point on your card, or you could use it to cover a background or to make a frame. The possibilities are endless with this one. So not only does it come with the floral spray, it also comes with 3 sentiments that you can glimmer and cut out as well. They're Merry Christmas, Winter Wishes, and Holiday Cheer. And the foil for this month is the gold aura foil. So it's called aura. It's gold and shines the colors of the rainbow, which I love. Now let's go ahead and get started with our card for today. So I have a white card panel, which is 5 by 7 inches in size. I'm using Hammermill cardstock here. You could also use Spellbinders Glimmer paper, which is specifically for glimmering if you're new to foiling or you want to make sure you get a nice impression as you foil. I'm going to use some gold matte foil for this because I want it to be a little bit more muted compared to the actual piece that I'm going to use as the focal point. So what I'm aiming to do here is just kind of take the Poinsettia Spray glimmer plate and cover the background. Now I'm not covering it entirely, I'm just foiling it a couple times because it is so large. I really don't have to do this too much to get a background with this. But I just want to kind of have it in the background there and then have a focal point piece. And that's the idea I have in my head right now. So now that I've foiled the two with the matte foil, I'm foiling this one piece with the aura, and you can see how gorgeous that turns out. It shines all of the beautiful, pretty colors of the rainbow. And I'm actually going to color this piece in, but before I do so, I will cut it out with the coordinating die. And once this is cut, it looks just gorgeous and so professional looking. I love the look of die cut glimmer pieces. So now you can also see how it contrasts just a little and stands out a bit more on top of those matte gold pieces. Now let's go ahead and color these in. I've listed all of the Copic Chow or the Copic colors that I'm going to be using to color this in the top left corner. So for the reds, or in this case the pinks, I'm going to be using RV10, RV23, and RV42. And I chose a color scheme that was a bit more subtle. It uses reds and greens like traditional Christmas colors, but I'm also throwing in some pinks and browns. And I'm not doing anything in particular. I'm just doing some basic Copic coloring. So I've got usually about 3 colors for each, or 3 shades for each color. Sometimes I'll only have 2 if it's a smaller area that I'm filling in. And I'm basically just using the darker colors to color in the darker areas, the lighter colors to color in the highlights, and the mid-tone to blend the two out in between. Now, as I was coloring this in, there are certain areas where I thought the leaves were poinsettia petals, but they were actually leafy greens. So what I did was I just went back over them because I did color them in a pink, which is lighter, and I colored them in with the green, and I really didn't see the pink behind it, so it actually worked out perfectly. And by putting the green on the pink, I actually noticed that you can color it in so that you get a hue of the pink showing through the green, and it makes for a really nice colored leaf with a dual tone. So maybe that's a technique I can use in the future. I always find when I make mistakes on my cards and I go back and I fix it, I come out with new ideas for new techniques, and that's always just the art of working with cards and art and being creative. So don't be afraid to try and fix up your mistakes and see what happens, because you might come up with something new. So now you see the floral image is completely colored in and looks absolutely gorgeous with that aura foil. Now I need a sentiment. So I'm going to grab the Winter Wishes glimmer plate and I'm going to use some red foil to foil that. Now I have to say that I actually like the way that the letters are, or the font is, I guess, for these glimmer greetings here on this Glimmer Kit set. They actually, I don't know what it is about them. They just look really nice. So now that I've got this all nice and foiled, you see I have a bit of overfoiling, and not to worry. First of all, this is a glimmer plate that we're going to end up cutting out with a coordinating die. So some of that will get cut off. And also we do have the Couture Creations eraser tools or detailer tool. This is what I use to get rid of any overfoiling. And if you are looking at being a foiler or getting into it, I definitely do recommend having a tool like this, or even just the Tombow Mono Eraser, which is going to help you get rid of any overfoiling. Okay, now that we have all of our pieces, our focal point, the background, and the sentiment, let's go ahead and put this card together. I'm actually going to add a couple strips of cardstock. So I've got some red and pink, and the red and pink are basically to match the colors that we used on the Poinsettia Spray image that we just colored in. So I've layered those two strips together so that you can see the red from either side of the pink, and now I'm adding some foam tape to that to give it a bit of dimension. And I'm just going to add this panel on the left hand side vertically on that card base that we foiled earlier. And I'm using my focal point piece to kind of just figure out exactly where I want that strip, and I'll cut off any overhanging pieces here. So I do want to mention I made a tiny little bit of a boo-boo on the dimensions of this panel. It's actually just a bit smaller than 5 inches by 7 inches, so it's actually 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I have a bit of a border when I put this on my 5 by 7 inch card base. Now I'm going to add the focal point, which is that beautiful colored Poinsettia Spray image. And you can see I'm adding some foam squares on either side of where I would put this down where that strip is, because the strip already has dimension. Now for the sentiment, I'm actually using the coordinating die to cut it out to actually cut out some foam. And the reason for doing this is the sentiment is a bit intricate. I don't want to be cutting up a bunch of thin pieces of foam just to give this dimension. So cutting out, using the die to cut out foam and just attaching it to the back works perfectly well, and actually is much faster. The dies are great. They work perfect for cutting out foam as well. So I'm just using my Barely Arts glue to attach the foam to the back of the sentiment, the glimmered sentiment, and I'll just use the glue, same glue again, to attach it to the actual card. I like using a liquid glue for this because it gives you a bit of give, and you can kind of move it around a bit and make sure that it lines up perfectly with your card. So now that I basically have my panel put together, all that's really left to do is for me to attach this panel to the 5 by 7 inch card base. And as I mentioned, since it is a little smaller, I'll get a tiny bit of a border. So last but not least are embellishments, and I can never finish off a card without embellishments. I'm going to be using this set of embellishments from Buttons Galore. It's got some sequins and a bunch of gems that are red, green, white opaque, and white clear, and those gems are the ones that I want to add to this card. I love the fact that the colors match the colors that I used on the colored image, so that's part of the reason why I picked this one. I'm sure some classic gold pearl or some clear a light yellow or beigey type gems would work with this as well. So that's my card that I have to share for the Glimmer Kit of the month. This one, I've got to say it's a must-have. I would love this one, and just by changing the colors in this floral piece, you could make this a year-round glimmer plate and use it for any cards, maybe Mother's Day cards, birthday cards, anything like that it would work for. So I hope that you've liked my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for future videos, and don't forget to check out my blog, which is linked in the description below. Everything I've used is linked there, and I'm also on Instagram where I'll have some reels for these inspiration cards. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.